Hey, girlfriend, you know who you are. You have big, big dreams. You want to write a book, stand on a TED Talk stage, be a life coach offering wisdom from your RV in Montana, a cafe in Barcelona, or a beach chair in Tulum. Your other girlfriends and your family, they don't always get your biz savvy. Why do you want to leave your JOB? Because you're a C.A.T.S, aka coach, author, thought leader, and speaker. Meet other change makers like yourself and find out how they make it happen. This is the Big Meow podcast.
Welcome to the Big Meow podcast, brought to you by C.A.T.S Network. I am your host, Angela Howard, and we are here today with Kim B. Miller, who is a poetic performing artist. Love that. I'm a dancer, so this is going to be fun.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hear about her workshops and the facilitations that she does to really bring just love and light. Sounds like you just bring love and light wherever you are. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, Kim. So tell us, what is a poetic performing artist?
Yes, I had to come up with a title because people think of poets as so one-dimensional. So there's poets and there's spoken word poets. So I like to make that differentiation up front.
Okay.
A poet basically reads their poem, nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
A spoken word poet is supposed to make you feel their poem. So they're supposed to say it differently. Some will be loud, some will be low, some will be loud, some will be syllabalized. So it's supposed to be read in a different manner. So a poetic performer, I perform poetry even when you don't hire me for poetry. Like, for instance, as a speaker, it always includes poetry.
Mhm, mhm. Do you find that impactful as a speaker to use poetry? And then my second part of the question is the word performance, the difference between speaking delivery and performing your delivery. Can you distinguish between those two for us?
Absolutely. And yes, I think poetry really hits it home. There's nothing wrong with quote unquote regular facilitation, but I think when you include your own sayings and your own poems, it brings the message home a little quicker. And it's, as I call it, it sits home in the heart a little longer. And as far as saying it and performing it as a poet, as a spoken word poet, is not. And it's kind of hard to make this distinction for people. People are like, aren't you acting? No, I'm feeling out my words out loud. I think that's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah. Yeah. So voice,
Yes.
unique voice. So I'd love for our listeners, because we are a group of coaches, authors, thought leaders, and speakers, the inspiration for each speaker, for each person, the importance of their unique voice. Please tell us about that.
Yes. The problem is people get all, I call it, when you're talking to a poet, all intuitive. Of course, that's not a real word. So what does that mean? What am I saying? I'm saying we get so in our own head that we think, well, there's 5,000 speakers. We don't need 5,001. We don't need another person. We don't need someone else to say what I'm about to say. But your unique experience comes with your words, and how you deliver your unique experience makes it touchable for someone who's there to hear it. So you don't want to be concerned about you being 5,001. Be more concerned that your words are hitting the people whose heart you are targeting.
Thank you so much for saying that, because those are things that my business partner, I believe specifically for C.A.T.S, that the unique voice, that is your power. And tell us the connection between your unique voice and the way you say things, even though there's 5,000 other people saying a similar thing, not the way you do, and the connection to your audience. Describe that, explain that for our listeners.
Absolutely. So typically when I go into a room, I kind of get a feel for the people in the room. And when you're trying to explain energy to people, it sounds crazy, and I get that, but you kind of feel the energy in a room and what needs are. I come in with a plan, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I'll go a different way. And I think I do a lot of long poems, but my favorite poems are haiku. And for those of you who learn haiku in school, it's not that one. Not that one. Those are traditional ones that you learned in school. Japanese poetry, only on nature, 17 syllables. The ones I do are 17 syllables called senryu, but in performance poetry, we call them all haiku. But those can be on any subject. And I'll give you an example of one and how my voice carries it to a place that people can get it. So haiku. It's okay to be scared. Do it anyway. Scared people succeed too.
Love that. And that's a haiku?
Yes.
All right. So what's this other one you were describing?
Now, the other one is only on nature. So I do the ones that are on any subject because I feel like when you get someone, they start saying haiku, they start remember the haiku, and haiku is both singular and plural, by the way. They start remembering the haiku or the haiku, no S. And it really sticks home for them because it's a point. You can say, don't be scared, don't worry about it. And you can make that articulately said, as I said. But when you say it in that way, to like scared people succeed too. It lingers.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great nugget and a takeaway for our listeners. It says here that you mentor students on how poetry is an art form that is welcoming to all. Tell us about that.
Yes, and I used to be a substitute teacher, and I still go in now to do different poetry classes. And what I love going to talk to students about, because in the high school and middle school age range, face and size are everything. You're either cute or you're not. You're either in, whatever the acceptable size is for that particular time frame, or you're not. You either have the six-pack or you're not, or you don't. And a lot of them think that a lot of artists have to be a certain size, have to look a certain way. And when I go on and explain to them that poetry is about your words, your looks are irrelevant. Their eyes are like, there's something that's for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very, very powerful. So this is going to be a big question. It's a bit blankety, but what's your philosophy? When I say, what's your philosophy on life? Like, what's the big picture for you, or what you would like to see if your path were to expand and grow? What's the big picture for you?
The big picture for me would definitely include talking and mentoring to students, getting them to understand the pain that paper can hold. A lot of people think they have to interact with people to bleed their pain, but paper can hold pain in a way that is undescribable. And that outlet for people has saved lives. I know poets who have said clearly that poetry has saved their lives. I'm not talking metaphorically, just talking literally. So the ability to have paper hold their pain, even if they never state that poem out loud, the fact that it was written is freeing. So giving people an outlet for their pain and their anguish, and knowing that they are valid as they stand, they are enough as they stand. Doesn't mean you don't have something to work on, but start on the platform of you not being a negative, but the positive.
Wow. So it sounds like that you would probably be a proponent for journaling.
Yes.
Yeah. Journaling is a very powerful way to get everything out. I used to call my journal my silent friend because it never spoke back to me. I could tell it whatever, right?
Exactly.
So how did you start into this business?
Well, I'm a native New Yorker, and I originally started when I was in New York. I went to a place and I performed, and it was one of those places that basically would tell you you're good or not and go home and stay there. That's why I went. And I got nothing but great information. But when I say I stopped immediately, I mean I stopped immediately, stopped writing, performing, everything until I moved to Virginia. And I'm a Christian, and don't worry, I'm not one of those judgmental cray-cray ones. But I always have to put the disclaimer out because we've screwed ourselves over. But I believe that's the time the Lord said, hey, it's time for you to get into poetry seriously. And that's why I got in. I consider it a gift, and I enjoy everything about it.
So as we close, I want you to tell those out there that doodle and write and put a little things down on paper and get embarrassed. Tell them, give them the message from your heart. What would you like to say to them?
Absolutely. You have been mitigating, putting down, making small your ability, because you think that someone will make fun of you or think that's not really talent, or that's not a skill, or you need to go to school for this. And I'm not trying to change your major in school, because I'm a techie, and the technical side of me loves what I do when I did the technical part of it. So I'm not saying change your major. I'm saying you're a talented individual with several purposes. Don't just lean on one. The fact that you love art, or you love writing, or that you love anything in the artistic realm, does not make you lesser than someone who doesn't. Because COVID taught us many things. And it taught us that all those technical, exacting people leaned on the art to get through. So what you want to do is important. Find your lane, grow, study, practice, but don't erase something because someone else thinks it's small. If it's big enough for you, it's big enough to pursue.
Wow. You made it rhyme. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for being on our show. How do we find you, Kim?
You can find me, and most of my information is on my website, which is www.kimb, just the letter B, kimbmiller.com. And I also have a YouTube channel. Feel free to come on by and subscribe.
I bet you do. I bet that's a fun channel to watch. Thank you for taking your time out and spending it here with us on C.A.T.S. And we always appreciate bright lights like you. So here's more light and love to you and what you do down the road.
Same to you.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Big Meow podcast, sponsored by C.A.T.S Network. If you liked what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. You can also join our network filled with positivity and possibility. Visit www.catsnetworking.com to join us and learn more, together with your magical, motivated, and mystical new friends at C.A.T.S Network. Let's transform 1 million lives with your message. Are you feeling isolated, sitting at home in your PJs? Or perhaps you're tired of the comfy sweatpants with holes in them that are hidden just below the camera? I mean, you could puke at the thought of another day of Zoom meetings and reporting to your BOSS. Do you want freedom from your home office desk or the office cubicle? Do you want freedom from your current career? Or are you frustrated that your online biz dreams are going nowhere? It's all too overwhelming. Where do you start? All the tech, the choices, and your message. Yep, I said your message, your brand, your voice. What is it? Do you even know what that means? Do you need a biz coach but don't want to invest the big bucks? Let's face it, being a solopreneur is lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. And here's a solution. Join C.A.T.S Network. C.A.T.S Network is a woman-only membership community exclusively available to you, the life coach or executive coach, the author, the thought leader, or the public speaker. If you identify with this list or want to work on adding some of these to your skill set, C.A.T.S is the place for you. Check us out at www.catsnetworking.com. That's C.A.T.S networking.com. Because let's face it, cats are better together.